Welcome to UK Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host, Yukai Kechidori.
Welcome back to another very special episode. And with me today is a special guest from Boston, ladies and gentlemen. You may remember a few weeks ago, we had Carrie Brett from Boston as well. So something is happening in Boston. We've got some amazing people joining us here. So I'm excited about today because Danielle is here to share with us a concept which I truly believe. In fact, I practice what we're going to be talking about. It is about building a team of trusted experts around you. I don't know if you know this proverb, an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go further, go with others. In fact, I've discovered in my personal journey as a business owner that when I have trusted experts around me, I tend to be more confident. Things become much easier and I can get a lot done. So today we're going to be talking about that. How do you do that? And Danielle, who is an expert in this area, is going to be sharing that with us. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. You know what? You have a different take on how to build teams. You know, if somebody's to ask you, what is the number one thing that may surprise business owners about building a team of experts around you?
I would say it is to build a team based on function, right, not based on people or past relationships. And what I mean by that is, as businesses grow and businesses change, you know, Tom or Susie might have always done all of these things really well, but it's really important to really think about what the function is that needs to get done and to determine if that is in alignment with where the business needs to go. And so Tom or Susie could be really wonderful people with best intentions, but that doesn't mean that they're the best person to do the job.
Oh, amazing how true that is. You know, because as business owners, sometimes we have a tendency of saying this person has been with me for a long time, so might as well be putting them on this, and you find out it doesn't work. I think maybe it's because we are loyal people, but sometimes it comes back and backfires on us.
I agree, but you know what? I think the flip side of that is, I think especially those people that we have the loyal relationships with, I don't think they want to disappoint us either. So I think it's really important to have the transparent conversations about what the skills are that are needed, when a training is appropriate, when, you know, just because someone isn't appropriate for a certain task doesn't mean that they're still not valued within the organization. And so just to be really transparent and make sure that the relationship is healthy on both sides, I think is important for business owners.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, you know, that leads us to, I want to find out more about who you are. I know you came into this whole understanding out of necessity. Tell us how you got started, or how your belief in having a team of experts around you started.
Sure. So I had a very successful career in digital marketing, communications consulting, working with design agencies in the Boston and the Seacoast area. I did that for maybe about 15 years, maybe a little bit longer. And I just got incredibly burnt out. I went to graduate school and I thought, when I come out of graduate school, I'm going to know exactly what I want to do. And of course, that didn't happen. And I had a happenstance introduction to one of the biggest coaches in the online space. And while it was incredibly flattering to have been extended an offer to work with her, it was also incredibly intimidating because I had knowledge in this whole other area of the business. And I was now in this new area of the industry and I didn't know what to do. And here I was, you know, with my ideal client, like being handed to me, right? So that was a really scary place for me to be. And the only thing that I could do was kind of lead with integrity with what I knew and bring in people around me that could supplement the efforts around me. And it worked.
It did. And what I'm glad about you is you are then showing others how to do that. In fact, you're helping people create these amazing teams around, around them. Because you and I know that, CEO often are very good at one area, and to try and develop other areas of expertise could be a lifetime. but doing what you do will speed the process of them getting to their desired goal, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think all of us in our respective industries are information gatherers. And I try to surround myself with other like-minded people that have just so much information kind of already compressed inside of them that then I can then learn from. I'm just going to say it. It's the most efficient way to learn, right? Would you talk to people with aggregated amounts of information, and that is how you're going to learn and speed up your own individual and your company's growth.
Indeed, incredible. Let's talk about business owners perhaps who haven't got this dialed in yet. If they were going to start doing that, where can they start? What should they be looking out for?
Sure. I would start by, and I think there's a couple of scenarios that maybe you're describing, and let me know where you want to head. But a lot of business owners are doing things because they feel like they have to, not because they should be. And so the place to start there is really looking at your calendar or your time and thinking about, are all of the tasks that you're doing CEO level tasks, and or the ones that you can only do, right? There's certain things like that only you can sign on the dotted line for a certain contract, or whatever it might be, but really making sure that all of your time is deliberate. The other thing that can be done is looking at the time of your team, and is your team working in a very, very efficient sort of way? If there isn't clear alignment of responsibilities, or some people are doing this part of this task and the other people are doing that part of the task, it's the opportunity to consolidate those and look at who can do it the best way possible.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. While you were talking, I couldn't stop myself imagining, that there may have been some roadblocks in your journey to creating this team, which could be, what other people are experiencing right now. What are some of the roadblocks, Danielle, that people are going to face when they try to create a team?
My number one roadblock is that there's only so much time in the day. And so I am a hustler. I probably can outwork in terms of hours most people. And let me tell you, it is not the best way to do business. And so there is that, adage that slow down to speed up. It is so true. And I'm one to go against the norm. And I always go across culture. And that one, as much as I try to deny it, the more that I slow down and focus my time appropriately and think about the smart tasks for me to be doing rather than the volume, or if I just stay up until 2:00 in the morning one more night or something like that, it's going to get better. It's the truth is, for me, the best thing that has happened is the realization that I needed to slow down, to speed up, and to be very, very deliberate with my time.
Yeah, amazing. I remember when I was first introduced to that concept, I went to Tony Robbins' event, and he was teaching on that sometimes, we are hustling, doing everything, because that's what we were told, that you have to keep on working hard. And then we sort of like running in a wheel, spinning a wheel and not getting anywhere. But when we implemented that, because I went on a coaching program with him, the results from that, it couldn't be, I couldn't deny the impact of the truth that you just shared with us there.
It's so true. And in terms of how we serve our clients notice also. They notice when we're starting a lot of things and not getting over the finish line. They notice changes, and I think it just serves them so much better to see the finished products of our efforts rather than trying to do too many things.
Yeah. One question I have here, which I often get asked, is what stops people really from going after their goal? For example, building that team. They know they have to do that, but for some reason, they just don't get on to do it. In your opinion, helping hundreds of people, perhaps, what stops people from actually following through?
I think people get intimidated by it. The reality is There's a lot of people out there that are looking for work, and we all want to be mindful of our money. If you don't know where to look, I think it can become an incredible, time suck. And also, I think people forget you can set up a new relationship with someone on your own terms. And it's easier to have those conversations up front in saying, I've never hired for this role before. This is what I think the job description is going to be. Let's only do this many hours per week as opposed to something more full-time. And let's reevaluate this at 30 days. And I think when people realize that they can control the position and it's not a marriage lasting forever and ever, it's much easier to do.
Yeah. But how do you do that, Danielle? For anybody who's really starting out, how do you have those conversations?
I try to just be really genuine in my conversations. Talking about having the conversations, like I just said, I have not hired for this position before. I don't know how it's going to fit into my business. I don't know what my key performance indicators, KPIs, are for this role. I'm looking for your help, and I set actual milestones in my calendar. We will meet to talk about this in 15 days. I would like a progress report from you once a week. It's not hard for me to have the hard conversations when I know that I've been transparent about the expectations. It's very hard for me to have the hard conversations when I know that I haven't been forthcoming.
Yeah, amazing. I remember when I started my outsourcing company, we were hiring people from the Philippines. My first experience was not the best of experience because I promised a certain amount of money right up front. And then when the work started coming through, it wasn't to my expectation. It was like, but I had already promised that I was going to be making a certain contribution at the end of the month. It nearly pushed me away from the whole aspect of, having a virtual team helping me. In your opinion, what would be the best way of avoiding the mistake I did right at the beginning?
So it sounds like, and correct me, that you maybe misunderstood the scope of what needed to be done a little bit, in terms of what you could deliver on.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's important to have clear performance indicators right up front, objectives for what the projects are. I think it's as much as possible to have a product specification. This is what the end deliverable looks like. And I think it's important to have milestones. I also don't think there's anything wrong with having terminology in contracts that say, if the scope varies, but more plus or minus 5% or 10% or whatever it is, it warrants a conversation. I think it's very, very difficult from going from best intentioned conversations to the reality of the work. And I think as business owners, we don't know actually even realize that the problems are far greater than what we thought they were going to be. And an example of this is I have a client fairly recently who wanted a new website up, and she needed a new rebrand and a new logo and colors and all of that sort of stuff. And we brought in a vendor, and the vendor just thought, oh, this is a WordPress site. I've done this so many times before. But what the vendor didn't realize was the back end was just a pile of spaghetti held together with duct tape. And it was not, from a technical standpoint, something that she could take on, but there was no way for her to have known that before she really, really got deep into the project. So luckily we had those conversation clauses in the contract, and everything ended very amicably, because we were able to create the environment where we could talk about, those kinds of unexpected things.
Yeah. Well, you are very brave and strong, to be able to create systems like that. And I'm sure listeners in our audience would love to, explore more on how you do that. Again, we will come to that shortly before the end of our time together. Let's talk about, how you go about, as a business owner yourself, Danielle, go about supporting other business owners who need this sort of service, who need to build teams. What do you do for them?
Sure. So I think one of my superpowers is quickly getting into organizations and seeing what needs to get done,
Right.
understanding people and assessing people's skills and drivers very quickly, and figuring out what that looks like. And we're all kind of familiar with organizational charts, but I think one of my superpowers, not everyone is as familiar with an accountability chart, which is a variation of that, where you're actually aligning responsibilities with functions. Again, going back to that conversation about functions and people. And a lot of times I spend a lot of time going into organizations, just figuring out where the misalignments between the work that needs to get done and the people doing the work.
Wow, incredible. And for those who wants to work with you, where can they find you?
Sure. So my website is danielleclevy.com, and I'm on Instagram at Danielle_C_Levy.
Awesome. I must say, I went on your website. There is quite a few things that you make available to business owners, like in your store. Do you want to, perhaps mention one or two things that is readily available for people to take advantage of?
Sure. There are a couple of things that I think all business owners should have. One is it's a 3-part kit called Solo to CEO, which is everything that you need, from the idea that I need to hire someone all the way through how do I onboard them, and everything in the middle, for I think it's up to 20 or 25 positions. So it gives you, all of the emails and the turnaway letters and your onboarding kit and your checklist. And, not only is it important to find the right person, but you need to make sure that their onboarding experience is just exceptional in order to retain them. So I think that's one thing that's probably pretty helpful to your listeners. The other thing that I have is what I call my ICE workbook. And ICE stands for in case of emergency. And that workbook is not just for emergencies, but it's also, as business owners, we want to be able to step away and go on vacation. It's the reason we work for ourselves in the first place. So, how many of us have been in a situation where we just can't find a password, or we've handed something off to our assistant and they don't know the insurance company's name, or, the other password, or who the host is, or whatever, all of those important pieces of information that are the keys to our business, right? The ICE workbook brings everything together so that you can, in case of emergency, take advantage of it, or hand your playbook off to someone else and say, I'm going on vacation. If anything happens, here you go. But I think it makes for a lot less scrambling those couple of times a year when we need to find it.
Yes, I love that. And I was looking at it, it's quite affordable as well for any business owners that are there. I think you were generous with the information that you shared there. The value that you provide is incredible in that just piece of work that you have done there. So, if you're there and you're looking to really strategize and be more strategic with how you're doing it, that alone is a very good, good resource to have. We are coming toward the end of our time together, Danielle. Knowing what you know about creating a team of experts around you, what would you do differently if you were to do it all over again?
I would have been more mindful about how I spent my time. Again, it's not always about working harder. It's about working smarter. And I just spent a lot of years, if I can just work harder, if I can just do this one more thing, if I could just, and it doesn't, that draw of the laptop or that draw of that one more Voxer, it never goes away. And I wish that I had learned how to balance it all a little bit sooner, because the level of the work that I put out as soon as I figured that out was so much better.
You're talking to me. I think that's a lesson I need to learn myself, because I seem to be rushing with I've got a lot of projects happening at the same time. Certainly, perhaps we'll hire you as a coach to help.
I would love that. Thank you.
But that's why we have guests like you to show us the way of how to do things better and smarter, so we can get to our goals the way we want. Well, I would like to thank you, Danielle, for spending some time with us here today and sharing with everybody what works for you. In fact, before we do that, you have some amazing testimonies of some people you've worked with over the last few years. Do you mind sharing maybe one or two before we wrap up?
Testimonies of people that I've worked with?
Yes.
Sure. So there's plenty of testimonies on my website. I think I am described as people's co-pilot. I think the transformation that people see and working with me is that they're allowed to be in their zone of excellence in their business. I think I've been called a chaos coordinator, and I've been called the Velvet Bulldog. Yeah.
And I was looking at your website. You've done some outstanding work for people as well. Some case studies that you have that I would love for people to go check out on your website as well.
That would be fantastic. I really love the clients that I work with. I've had a chance to be in so many different industries. I've worked in agencies, I've worked in health and wellness, I've worked in education, finance. I learned so much working with my clients. It's really been a fantastic experience.
Outstanding. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to know how to build a team around you, go to Danielle. There will be the website right below this recording as well. So you can reach out to Danielle and buy some of the products there. As we always say, learn from those who are doing it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Of course, if there's some people who knows what they're talking about, like Danielle, shortcut your learning curve. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly, truly yet to come. Goodbye for now.
Thank you for listening to UK Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.ukbusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.